Virgin Galactic made its first space flight with a paying customer on June 29. The success is said to have opened the era of commercial space tourism in earnest. According to foreign media reports, Virgin Galactic spacecraft, VSS Unity, departed from Spaceport Space Center in New Mexico on the same day and flew up to an altitude of 85 kilometers. It then returned safely to Earth at 9:42 a.m., an hour and 12 minutes after the launch. At the peak of the flight, passengers experienced a microgravity state similar to zero gravity for several minutes. The spacecraft carried a total of 3 paid passengers, including 2 Italian Air Force officers and 1 aerospace engineer from the Italian government. They conducted experiments in various fields such as medicine, engineering, and physiology under microgravity. The exact cost has not been disclosed, but it is about $400,000 per person. Virgin Galactic said, "A new era has opened where civilians can stably travel to space. We plan to conduct commercial space flights every month starting in August," he said. So far, about 800 boarding tickets have already been sold. Virgin Galactic, a space tourism company founded by British billionaire Richard Branson, succeeded in a manned space flight in 2 years. The company immediately announced a commercial flight in June. Virgin Galactic announced on its official Twitter account on the 25th that the manned space flight, Unity 25 mission, using Virgin spaceship Unity had been completed smoothly. VSS Unity is an airship designed for commercial spaceflight. There are 8 people, including 2 pilots and 6 passengers. The test flight was accompanied by company employees who had been trained for a certain amount of time. The VSS Unity took off with it installed on the spacecraft carrier, VMS Eve, operated by Virgin Galactic. Separated at a scheduled altitude, VSS Unity quickly flew up to a maximum altitude of about 87 kilometers using its own engine. Virgin Galactic staff on board the airship enjoyed the beautiful Earth scenery outside the window. Virgin Group has been very encouraged. It is said that the safety has been confirmed as the first practical flight in 2 years since the first commercial flight in July 2021, involving Virgin Group chairman Richard Branson. A company official said, "It did not reach the altitude of 100 kilometers in space defined by FAI, but it has reached the altitude of 80 kilometers recognized by the U.S. Air Force. This success deserves to go down in history in that it has shown that private space travel is possible," he said. Virgin Galactic will start commercial spaceflights in June. Virgin Galactic plans to fly once a month once service starts. The cost has yet to be confirmed, but experts estimate it will cost about $450,000 per person. There were also several failures before the company achieved remarkable results. In 2014, the initial spacecraft, VSS Enterprise, took off on the VMS Eve, and the hull broke down in the air about 11 seconds after the mother ship was separated. The co-pilot died and the pilot parachuted down with injuries. Virgin Galactic, a space tourism company of Virgin Group, will start commercial space flights every month from August. With a series of recent successful flights, Virgin is now confident. Virgin Galactic announced on its official channel on the 1st that the recent commercial space mission, G01, of the spacecraft, Virgin Spaceship Unity, was successful. In the G01 mission, which took place on the 29th of last month, VSS Unity rose to an altitude of 85.1 kilometers with 6 passengers on board. The FAI set the altitude of space at 100 kilometers, but the U.S. Air Force's standard is 80 kilometers, which is lower than this. Based on this, Virgin Galactic calls the flight of VSS Unity space travel. As usual, VSS Unity took off vigorously from the runway of Spaceport, New Mexico, at 11:30 p.m. on June 29, equipped on the mother ship VMS Eve. VMS Eve, which reached an altitude of about 13,500 meters at 0:28 a.m. on June 30, when the date was changed, emitted VSS Unity. At the same time, VSS Unity, which ignited its own engine, conducted a semi-orbital flight up to 85.1 kilometers at a tremendous speed of up to Mach 2.88. The flight proved the possibility of space travel in that it was 100% a commercial flight, Virgin Galactic said. The passengers who returned to the spaceport runway at 0:42 on June 30 cheered as if they were not subdued. Some say that VSS Unity only rises to an altitude of about 80 kilometers and rotates once from the peak before descending, making it difficult to regard it as a space trip. However, the industry and the private sector's attention were focused on the fact that this type of commercial flight was unprecedented. Virgin Galactic also succeeded in flying the VSS Unity with civilians on board in May. Virgin Galactic employees were on board the aircraft at the time. Shortly after completing the flight, Virgin Galactic announced its first commercial flight in June. Virgin Galactic, which succeeded in commercial flights in succession after civilians, will carry out its second commercial space flight G02 in August. If the mission is successful, Virgin Galactic plans to conduct commercial space flights every month in the future. Virgin Galactic, a space tourism company of Virgin Group, also succeeded in its second commercial space flight. It will conduct commercial space flights every month in the future, as declared. Virgin Galactic announced on its official Twitter account on the 12th that it had safely completed the second commercial space flight mission G02 of the spacecraft Virgin Spaceship Unity the previous day. VSS Unity flew up at 11:30 p.m. Korean time on the 10th at Spaceport America, a private airfield located in New Mexico, U.S., equipped on the mothership VMS Eve. The VSS Unity, with 2 pilots and 4 civilians on board, separated at an altitude of about 13,500 meters and went up to 88.5 kilometers, before returning to Spaceport America at 0:30 a.m. on the 11th. Virgin Galactic's commercial flights are based on an altitude of 80 kilometers. The FAI defined the altitude of space as 100 kilometers, but some organizations, including the U.S. Air Force, define 80 kilometers lower than this as space. VSS Unity rose to an altitude of 85.1 kilometers at the G01 mission in late June. At that time, Virgin Galactic vowed to conduct commercial space flights every month after August if it succeeds in the G02 mission. The highest speed of VSS Unity in the G02 mission is Mach 3, which is noteworthy in that it is faster than the Mach 2.88 of the previous mission. The highest altitude was also over 3 kilometers. Virgin Galactic explained that the performance of VSS Unity has improved as well as improved gas stability. Among the passengers who participated in the G02 mission, British John Goodwin is to pay attention. He participated in the canoeing event at the 1972 Munich Olympics, and even after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2014, he continued to take extreme challenges such as climbing Kilimanjaro to overcome the limitations. John Goodwin has a valuable record as the second astronaut ever to have Parkinson's disease. Virgin Galactic, inspired by a series of successful commercial spaceflights, will conduct the G03 mission in September. Galactic 03 was a crewed suborbital spaceflight of the Spaceship Two class VSS Unity, launched on September 8, 2023. It was the third commercial spaceflight and 8th overall spaceflight for American aerospace company Virgin Galactic. Galactic 03 is a space shuttle project at Spaceport America Airport in New Mexico with 3 passengers on board. Virgin Galactic has not yet identified the passengers, but they are known to have had boarding passes for a long time. The passengers of Galactic 03 are the first customers of the initial ticket buyer group, founder, Virgin Galactic said in a statement. They are the first customers to help make the dream of commercial spaceflight a reality. The 3 passengers aboard Galactic 03 will be the 14th, 15th, and 16th Virgin Galactic astronauts, respectively. They board the spacecraft VSS Unity and head to space. VSS Unity is mounted on the mothership VSS Eve and goes up to 15 kilometers in the air before separating from the mothership and flying 85 kilometers on its own. After that, he experiences weightlessness for several minutes in outer space and lands again at Spaceport America Airport. Galactic 02 took off on the 10th and won the title of the first civilian space flight to space with a former Olympian and 2 mothers and daughters on board. The daughter of the mother and daughter became the youngest person ever to go into space. Virgin Galactic is selling space tourism tickets for $450,000 per person. Once the space tourism industry is fully commercialized, tickets are expected to be lowered to around $250,000.